That looks really good. That is my favorite so far. This packaging is a choice. Oh, this straight up smells like soap you would get in a public restroom. I feel like my face looks dirty now. No. Cause wow, so look at that. Impressive. Ooh. Am I having problems? These sticks are a little stiff. I am back at it again. My nose is still a little red from being in the sun and forgetting to reapply sunscreen. Listen, kids, don't do what I did. Do as I say, not as I do. I spent 6-7 hours in a pool day drinking, only applied sunscreen once. This is what happens. But look at how tan the rest of my body is. It's so undeserved. Today we are gonna do a full face of Made by Mitchell. If you've been on my channel for a long time, you know that I got really burnt by Made by Mitchell when they launched. Basically, they almost scammed me. They said they sent my order, but the tracking said that they had not sent it. And then they were like, oh yeah, we did send it. And they sent me another tracking with an order. I don't want to make this video super long and complicated, but I will say, as someone who runs my own business, it was clear that customer service was flat out lying to me. And when I returned the goods without opening the package, it took them a month to give me the money back. It was weird. But I did buy these things from Beauté, and I'm sure that they've gotten better since. I know that all brands, when you start out, you can have some growing pains, but I did not like the customer service at the brand. So I bought it from Beauté, and I have so many things here. I bought a bunch of the new things, like this pore paste primer. The only thing that's new that I did not buy is actually the pot concealer. I don't do pot concealers. I already knew I wasn't gonna like it, and so I was just like, I'm not gonna do that. Instead, we're gonna be trying out for a second time the new concealer by Refi that I tried, well, last week when you were watching this, that I really enjoyed. So we'll use it again today. Ooh, really like the color of this packaging. So this is a blurring primer paste. Again, like I said, I have not opened or looked at any of this. I don't even know if I have the right shade of foundation. It comes out more liquidy than like a pore filling primer from like Benefit, for example. It feels very silicone-y. I'm gonna do a little bit in my T-zone, because if I ever have any pores, it's here. It smells slightly like plastic. Like, you know when you're like laying by the pool and you're laying on like a plastic chair and you lean down? It smells a little bit like that, like a warm plastic chair by the pool. That was an oddly specific one. And yeah, I have like almost like a little breakout this month. I think I'm getting my period soon, and I think the little that I have here is my body telling me that something's going on. I'm gonna be using the new tint. I'm gonna use a little bit on my nose too, because it's still a little uneven after being a little red in the sun, but it's definitely getting better. And I'm gonna be using the tint, and I don't know how the coverage is because it is called a tint. It is called, oh my god, it's so slippery that's like, whoop. Like, do you see? It's like it's a little slimy. This is the truth. That was a very Swinglish way of saying it. Truth tint. And I got it in the shade, Sheer Skin Tint, in the shade, I think 8, or is it H8? I'm not 100% sure. Let's open. Let's pray to the makeup gods that I got a shade that I can deal with, that I can do something with. That looks very, very promising. This bottle reminds me a lot of the tint that Too Faced came out with. I'm not saying they're dupes at all. I'm just saying it's a similar bottle. Yes, H8 is the shade I got. I'm guessing I got a light medium neutral. I might even have gotten a medium neutral because we're getting into summer, and this is one weekend in the sun and I have tan lines all year around. Ooh, it's overflowing. Do you see that? It is overflowing. Oh, it's like a little tint volcano. Definitely a little too dark for my face. But you see, when I put it on my shoulder, it's the right color. So I think this will be the right color for my face to match my chest. Doesn't smell like anything. Okay, let me go wet a sponge and zoom in. Okay, let me see if I can just grab the the low overflow. I've seen so much hype about this brand on TikTok and that they're like a TikTok darling, but I never really see a lot of people reviewing it on YouTube. And a TikTok, it's not always giving you all the info. Like, how is it gonna wear? How is it gonna look? You rarely get, honestly, like unfiltered stuff as well. This is supposed to be a sheer tint, and I will agree with that. It definitely does even out the color, but you can still see my discolorations around here. Oh, somebody's going to the pool. I'm so jealous. So I think we're gonna have to cover this up a little bit more. I got a little sunburned. Oopsie doopsie. But I might put on a little bit of concealer. That's probably gonna be like too light, and then cover it up with a skin tint just to make it the right color. So like I said, this is the concealer from Refi. Really did enjoy this concealer. It is a serum concealer with a medium coverage, and it dried down pretty quickly. Someone asked me if I could describe the dry down to something else. I would say, oh my god, look at that. You see how angry my skin is? Oh my god, it is so sad. I would describe the dry down a little bit like House Labs, but a little thinner and not as full coverage. We are gonna try and cover this up, but I'm not making any promises. Actually, the best way to make stuff is to work in like layers with gripping primer, with powder, and just trying to get some on and then not disrupting it. So this is the e.l.f. gripping primer, and I'm just patting this on. If you have trouble getting stuff to stick to things, that is definitely a tip. Gripping primer, powdering, and just working in layers. On top of the gripping primer, I'm actually going to do a little bit of the Natasha Denona powder foundation and just like a poof from Cinch Beauty. This is my own brand, and I'm just going to pat this on top. And we're just going to leave it like that for a bit. But yeah, I really felt like I was missing some content on this brand on YouTube. Like I wanted to know more. Like, what are the formulas like? How do they perform? I'm having some discolorations here, but maybe that's okay. Maybe we don't need to be perfect. Maybe this is fine. I'm gonna use a sponge with the concealer this time, because every time I'm trying out something new, I need to know like, how do they work with a brush? It works great with a brush. How do they work with a sponge? Do they work great with every kind of powder? Like, there are so many different ways I need to try stuff before I get back to like my final review of stuff. But that looks great with the sponge too. What a lovely concealer. Perfect with the skin tint too, when you don't want your under eyes to look too makeupy. It really looks delightful. I don't think I bought a powder. So I have some bronzers, some highlighters, some blushes. I think this is a baked bronzer. And then I have, yeah. And then I have a palette that this packaging is a choice. So I'm just gonna go in with my normal NYX one and my T-zone. And then we can start with some of the liquid products. I'm very excited to try the liquid bronzer, I will say. Let's get into the bronzer. I have a liquid bronzer and I have a powder bronzer. This is the Blush Balm Bronzed in Shady Business. I think that is the shade. Oh, this isn't a liquid one. This is a stick. Oh, this is, wow. Like I said, I haven't even opened this package. I just opened it and I was like, oh, it's my order. This is the stick that I was talking about, that it is an indie brand, but they have so many different shades to choose from and so many different undertones. So I am fairly sure, like I said, this is the Shady Business. I'm fairly sure I got either a neutral or a warm. I usually, oh, that's too tuggy. Too tuggy to be going on directly. I'm definitely going to be doing this instead. My favorite cream product brush is, per usual, my Cinch FO3. That is very pigmented. And it's a little bit more gel-like. It's not like super emollient and creamy, but it did go on very well when I got it on my brush. Okay, that is actually pretty nice. I do wish that I could paint it on directly on my face, but it's not a problem that I can't. Have you ever tried this brand? Like, what do you think of it? Because like I said, I had like only tried like I want to put bronzer on my nose, but I think I'm going to do that with the powder one. I had only tried the liquid blush from before and the liquid highlighter and the powder blush, and I wasn't super impressed with the formula of the powder blush. It was also a matte blush, but I thought that once I stuck it down, it really stuck there. I did like the formula of the liquid ones, but I didn't think the colors of them were the best. I also got a shimmery one. It was like a shimmer blush and it was kind of sparkly. I didn't mind it, but none of them were like perfect. I will say the color of this is really beautiful. I'm not 100% sure if the formula is like my preferred formula. It also feels not sticky, but like it's a little tacky. But we are going to go over with the powder one in a bit, but we're going to be using a little bit of the liquid too. So I don't know what order we should be using it. This is a shimmery, hello. Oh, this has like padding on the inside. Can you see that? It's like foam. That's pretty dope. Don't know if I like this. The packaging is like a choice. Oh, okay. First impression. There's visible shimmer in this one. Can you see it? Oh my God, it's 2015. But can you see the visible shimmer? You can see the specks like of glitter, right? So I don't know how I feel about that. That will be interesting. And what is it that smells like soap? What smell? Is it me? Maybe I'm the soap. Oh, this straight up smells like soap you would get in a public restroom. Not bad, but like it smells like cheap off-brand soap. Why? Why does it smell like soap? This does not. This smells like ingredients. Why? I don't know if I've ever had something that did stick down to. It could be because I haven't powdered, but also like I would like to set my bronzer with this bronzer, but it did turn very prominent over the. I mean, I'm using two bronzers on top of each other. I don't know if I've ever smelled a makeup product that smells like soap. That is definitely a new experience to me. This bronzer is very, very pigmented. Now let's see if we can put a little bit of this powder bronzer on top of my nose to make it. Can you see? I don't think I love this one. It is kind of too pigmented and it doesn't blend out seamlessly. I feel like my face looks dirty now. This, no. We're gonna leave this like this. I'm gonna do my brows and then we're gonna buff everything in with a finishing powder because right now it looks a little dirty and this looks a little shoppy. I actually think that this formulation is just a little bit too pigmented and it doesn't like disperse effortlessly. That was not my favorite at all, personally. Not my favorite at all. But I am gonna be doing, because I think I have, oh, here it is. I think I have a lip liner. So let us do the lip liner. And I'm gonna do the brows and I'm gonna go in my makeup collection. I'm gonna fetch some kind of finishing powder. I got the lip liner in. Oh, there's a packaging and plastic. Did we need both? This is a all lip no trip in the cooler. It is a twist up pencil and it seems to be, oh, it's kind of a fine tip. That is a cool toned beige. It almost has a little yellow green in there. It's like it's a cool toned olive beige. That is an interesting undertone. I'm actually gonna fill out my entire lips with this because none of the lip products from the brand that I wanted, all of them were sold out. So I only got a lip pencil, but let me fix this. Let me fix my brows. And I need to buff this out because it looks very jaggedy. Okay, now that I have my entire lips filled out, can you see that there's like a green tint to it? There's like something going on, and I will say, My face is a little tacky, and I think that's the tint. I haven't used any powder yet. I brought out the Lawless finishing powder, but I think we're gonna do, oh my god, I think we're gonna do, I have the cream blush. We're gonna do that one first. Oh, I forgot, I got a bright orange. This one is in Mango Daiquiri, and it is so luscious. It looks like there could be some shimmer in here. Listen, this looks so nice. I think I'm gonna use a small brush though. This is a F07, and I think I'm just gonna use a small one. But yeah, I definitely need to set this down with a little powder. Am I having problems? These sticks are a little stiff. That was she said. I'm just having some problems properly picking up, and I just wish they were a little bit more emollient. They're a little like stiff gel-like. That is a really pretty color though, and I am enjoying how that is looking going on. I think I look a little crazy right now though. I don't mind that. I don't mind looking crazy or frightening, but I do feel a little sticky, a little tacky. I think I need to set this entire bonanza down. But I'm enjoying the color of this blush. Why do they smell like soap? I literally cannot wrap my head around why you would choose this extremely generic soap scent. I just feel like I am back in school washing my hands. I'm at a hospital washing my hands. Such a weird scent. We're gonna do the powder now, and I have two liquid highlighters here. This one, we're gonna use this last. This is the one that I bought. It is in Donuts. It is the Blush liquid blusher, but I got one of the ones that was meant to be a highlighter. And this one I got for free, and I think this is meant to be, this was a gift with purchase, and I think this is meant to be an eye topper. So it's like almost like an icy silver, so we're not gonna use that on our cheeks. So let's do some of this. I'm gonna buff it in with a F05, and I'm just gonna go in like this, and I'm just gonna be buffing. And then I'm gonna use some mattifying powder in my T-zone. I do be feeling like it's looking a lot more polished. You're gonna have to tell me what you think. But I do think that we are in a better spot now than we were before. I do think that everything is looking a little better, and it is a little less tacky. Not under here though. And I'm gonna use a little bit of the matte powder just here, because that is my hair and it is long. I don't like being shiny in this exact spot. It's not looking bad, but I definitely liked it a lot more before the bronzers came on. I don't know how I feel about them. Let's do this one then, the liquid highlighter. Let's do smooth. Two small dots. Oh, that is, no, it blends out pretty good. I thought first it was gonna be too intense, but I actually think that that blended out pretty decently with the brush. Okay, let's do one small one over here. You know what? That looks really, okay. This one and the lip liner I am the most impressed with so far. That is a really, really nice one. And remember, I just buffed powder all over my face, and I'm still able to make this look really good. Okay, I like that so much better, because I know that these were like another more highlighty blush, and the other ones I had was more like a sparkly blush. And I like this one so much better than the other one I had. I think that one looks actually really incredible. That looks really good. That is my favorite so far. I don't know if we are gonna be trying the eye topper. I'm not 100% sure. I'm gonna be using a little bit of eye primer, and then we can dig into this palette. How do I get into this? This has the same like weird shaped packaging as the matte blushes had. And I wasn't super impressed with those. Yeah, it's like the M. It's not pretty. Nobody can, like nobody can say this is pretty. But the color story is on the back. This one is called Keep 'Em Green. It is an Eye Clouds palette. Oh, there's a little plastic inside. And this is what it looks like. You can tell that mine has been a little bumped. There is some shadow around, but this is an interesting color story. And I think we will be using some of this liquid eyeshadow at the end. But let me actually start with some eye primer, and then we can do the eyeshadow. Let me see if we can like get around to using all of the shades. I think well, it's all the mattes. I'm gonna use all the colors. We'll try to do all the colors, but let me start with the green. Well, which one, babe? Which one of the greens? Let me start with the green. Let's start with the mid green and put that mid. That's very pigmented. That's really nice. I appreciate that. And I'm gonna pull that up a little bit here, and then we can use the darker shade underneath. I'm gonna make this as pigmented as possible, and to do that, I'm not gonna necessarily layer the colors on each other to begin with and let each shade like shine on its own. And this is the darker green. There are no names in here. This is just the darker green. And I'm just gonna get this one in here. This brand is interesting because they do have a lot of interesting colors, and the whole aesthetic of the brand is a little bit more the makeup style that is very popular in the UK right now, which is like almost like a version of the 2015, 16, 17 makeup that was very popular in the US. It's like they kept it, but they just made it their own, so you can find more bold makeup looks, more like visible makeup, more colorful things, and that is something that I do appreciate. And for that reason, I am intrigued by Made by Mitchell as a brand, because he's definitely not afraid to be doing some more bold things. That is really, really interesting. I'm just gonna use a EO4 and I'm gonna clean it off, and I am just gonna be buffing on this edge. No additional product before we go into that light yellowy green. And I'm putting that here. Oh, I love, it looks like this. You know that I do looks like this. I will say there was a couple of those bigger palettes, but he hasn't really released a lot of eyeshadows these past couple of years. It's been mostly other kinds of products, which I do think is really interesting. That's what he's been focusing on, and I feel like he's only been releasing a couple of these quads and then just mainly blushes and bronzers in all kinds of different like liquid and cream and powder. He has like all of those in different formats, and it's interesting to see for sure. Definitely interesting to see. I'm gonna blend this yellow a little bit into the green here. You can see just fading it in a little bit. I do think that these blend really nicely. Okay, with a smaller brush, this is an EO7, we are gonna do the same colors on the lower lash line before we get into the shimmer. I'm gonna use both the shimmer here. I'm gonna use that on the the outer third of the eye, and then we'll play with that liquid one. Maybe just paint that on the inner side. I think that's gonna be really cool. Okay, I have it on the brush here, but I am gonna spray it just to make sure that it's like behaving the way that I want to. Oh, and if you're wondering about anything that I'm wearing in today's video, I'll put it in the description box, and I will link it to Beauty Bay in case you are interested, and I'll put like which shades I used and all of that. And my links are affiliated, so if you do shop through my links, thank you so much for supporting my channel. I'm gonna do it like that. Ooh, there's a little teeny fallout from that shimmer, but it brushed away pretty decently. I'm just gonna fade it into the dark green a little bit. Okay, I guess I'm done with the quad, and And we can start using this one. I'm not 100% sure. Look at that. I'm not 100% sure how we're supposed to use this. This is called Drip Drip. And I got this as a free, like, bit purchase. And I did read up on this one. And I think it's in the blush formula, but it was like a limited edition, like a celebration shade that is meant to be an eye topper. That is very interesting. Let me see if I can clean off this brush. Should have done that before, but hey, here we are. That is so sparkly. Let me actually just pull some off here. I can do like a half cut crease painting with this one. Very impressive. Okay, I am extremely impressed with how that went on. It's gonna be, I'm gonna put it a little bit under my eye. It's gonna be very exciting to see how this dries down. Cause wow, so look at that. Impressive. Impressive for sure. Let me finish this up. I'm just gonna go and fetch a lip gloss, I think, and we can put on top as well, but like, ooh. Well, this makeup look is really nice. I can't deny my hair needs a little bit of a treatment, but don't look too closely at that. I actually brought out an oldie but a goodie. This is the NYX, this is Milky Gloss in Mint Shock Ship Shake, and it is such a nice, it is a sheer green. I thought that would go with the look, and it smells like mint chocolate, and I love it. And like you can see, it's not, it's just like sheer, but like it green tint. Oh my god, do you hear my stomach? It is growling. Instead of having breakfast, I finished the second book of ACOTAR because I am obsessed, and I now need to start the third one because I need to know everything. Okay, this is how I feel. I like the blush, mostly the color. Don't know how I feel about the finish. I don't know how I feel about the texture. Love the color of it though. Shimmering orange, absolutely. If I were to try anything from this brand, as I'm feeling right now, eyeshadow, liquid eyeshadow, lip liner, and liquid highlighter, love it. Both of the bronzers, the consistency of the blush stick, not so much. Skin tint, it do be feeling a little bit too tacky dewy for my liking. I have oily combo skin. That might be it. I will definitely be using that with other primers, other like powders and other bronzers and stuff, just to make sure like how, I mean, I will be using all of these things just to make sure. Is that the things that I used? Yeah, the primer, I wasn't blown away, but I also didn't like dislike it. I thought it was a nice one, but the eyeshadow is actually really good, and I hope the brand will release some more eyeshadows in the future. The liquid eyeshadow, blown away. Absolutely blown away. I cannot believe that that was a gift with purchase. That is so nice, and I will say the highlighter, it is a little, not sticky. It is not dry. It is not dry, but like not sticky. Like my hair, I say as my hair stuck to it. But I don't feel, maybe a little. Yeah, actually, you know what? I take it all back. Maybe it is a little tacky because I did feel like my hair stuck to it. That could also be the bronzer is like... Yeah, I need to use these things separately. Why am I taking so long to explain this? You got eyes, you saw what was going on. Please let me know. Have you tried anything from this brand? Did I try any of your favorites? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I would love to hear all about it down in the comments. And if you'd like to see more videos from me, don't forget to subscribe before you leave. And the algorithm is showing you some kind of video here next to me that they think should be right for you. But if you gotta go, you gotta go. And I will see you again in a new video. Bye!